Hey RATBAGGERS, it's Jade. Welcome to a special survival review. I'm going to try doing this once a week, maybe every 2 weeks sometimes, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, where basically our camera's on. You get to see a little bit more opinion from me about survival stuff happening, not just the news relayed, diving deeper into some of the games and what's upcoming, and obviously anything I might have missed from the weekend. So I'm aiming to do this every sort of Sunday or Monday. Like I said, it might be every 2 weeks. We'll have to see. You guys leave a like if you like the idea of this. Me just being a bit more personable, talking to you about the world of survival. Don't panic, the survival shows are still coming. I'll still get them up and running 2 or 3 times a week, depending on how much news there is. And they'll be pretty quick and slick. But this time it's me just going into stuff a little bit more detail about what I've liked and some of the stuff I've been reading and hearing about. So let's go, the survival review. Kicking off with Smalland. This is the PvP game that pretty much took over last week with a lot of Rust creators, Sea of Thieves also getting into it. I checked it out last week. As you can see, I did find it a little bit too rough around the edges for me. I definitely need some more time in the oven, but the promise is there to blend that Sea of Thieves survival elements of exploration and going against other players, mixed in a new setting and with certainly more modern kind of technology. Board these massive tramplers as you go across the desert. Lots of Rust creators were picking up on it as said, and Sea of Thieves too, and they all seem to pretty much enjoy it, having a peak of nearly 3,000 players playing at one time with the demo. But that mini success maybe didn't last, as Microsoft Azure servers, which Smalland, the company game, were using, basically said there's something fishy going on here, we're going to suspend your account for a bit. It's taken them 3 days to get going, but it's a real shame. Weekends are absolutely vital engaging audience, especially as you get such usually bigger peaks. And to have the whole weekend pretty much lost with only a few hundred players trying to desperately connect or having issues is a really bad blow. It is starting to creep back up now. The servers are working as of today, but it is still nevertheless a shame. I do want to see small, unique games actually make good. And although, like I said, Sand was a bit rough around the edges for me now, I think that maybe in the future it could be a good one. So Aloft has got a release date. Even if it is delayed, we actually now know when it's going to release. Previously scheduled at some point towards the end of 2024, it has now been delayed till January 2025. Aloft has been running with free demos and betas for a good long time now, at least over a year and a half, and each update they've added really has felt like fleshing out a mini early access game. So it's still going to go in early access when it does release in January. It is published by Funcom, so they've got a little bit more now finance, I'm guessing, to make the game as good as it can be, and I'm really looking forward to this. I do believe it's got plans to come to console in the future as well. It is a Sky Island survival game where you'll be drifting around, transforming an island into an actual ship as you try and take on these weird corrupted mushrooms and fauna and try and just basically heal the world. Does look to be sort of mini boss fights in the game as well, or certainly some more extra challenges and lots of collectibles and resources together to build up your base or your flying island ship. Farming, animal husbandry, you know the coup. It is a bit interesting they're releasing it now in January though, because it's going to be a big start to New Year. There's so many games coming out next year in either January or February. I do hope this doesn't get lost. It might be like the Power World success where it was the first out of the gate in 2024. Maybe Aloft in 2025 will be the big hit. Still no full release date just yet, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Like I said, the updates and the demos have felt like proper mini full-fledged early access games. So the fact they've had all this time to work on it is really good. And it does look like they're opening up their playtests again for select people that want to take part by signing up for maybe some new stuff coming. It is going to be a co-op game as well, so you can play it with your friends or obviously on your own. 7 Days to Die has got a slew of sales on console, making it 20% off for anyone that buys it on Xbox or PlayStation at the moment for the new version, obviously. And they are promising that updates are coming very soon. Over last week, a few tweets have gone out stating exactly what's going to be happening. I do find it a little bit egregious that sales are so close. Don't get me wrong, I want everyone to experience a great game, but considering they would only go for 20% for previous owners of the game that went ahead and upgraded or bought the next version, does make that decision look even more stupid and kind of price gouging. As I told you at the time, they could have easily done more than 20%. Lots of games have, effectively selling the same game twice over. Yes, with all its updates and changes, it is not another different game. It's still the 7 Days to Die experience, just running a bit better with updates. So if you haven't bought it yet or you're thinking of it, then obviously they have a sale going on, and you might be just in time soon for the fabled Crossplay update that's going to be arriving soon. So it does look like Crossplay, dedicated servers and more, especially with the proc gen proper fully generated maps, are all coming within this winter's brewing update. Also been shown off on Twitter some of the new stuff that's going on with a broken satellite falling down to Earth and effectively laying down the framework for how the virus started. Apparently at least this virus is spreading after the bombs and the EMPs went off in the world of 7 Days to Die. It's not something I've really ever looked at too closely, but yeah, a new point of interest, and I'm guessing some substantial loot, if maybe a bit dangerous. Some things to note though, Crossplay isn't going to be just flicked on with a switch and be playing with your PC pals straight away. They have replied and said it might roll out in phases. So my best guess is absolutely it's probably going to be Xbox and PlayStation maybe playing together before then rolling out Xbox, PlayStation and PC. Whether or not that's all going to roll out within the next few weeks, or when they say phasing, actually months, we're not too sure. It's time to really clarify it. But yeah, they are promising some sort of crossplay enabled at least with this next update. Now I've said a lot of this content is going to be coming with the Storms Brewing update, but in an earlier tweet at the start of the month, they did kind of make it sound out that it was going to maybe be split. It does look like Storms Brewing might not be here like I predicted until November, maybe December, but there will be a patch before the holidays with major optimizations, RWG world creation on consoles, the Japanese PS5 version, and lots of other stuff. So I think they should probably clarify. In the early tweet, they do state it's going to be 2 separate updates, but in the most recent ones, it does make it sound like it is going to be something that we get maybe all together. Either way, I will let you guys know the minute I do. I dropped off 7 Days to Die, I covered it, I played it, I did some guides, as well as a review. So I'm looking forward to seeing what changes and optimizations they can add, especially for Xbox Series S. Also, you guys know I've been standing Nightingale ever since its launch. Yes, it had issues, but their updates have steadily improved it. And then obviously with the Realms Rebuilt update, I felt like it was a major step going in the right direction to making it just more popular with everyone that tried it. It has still not really made a massive impact though. Players have dropped down again, and although they are still relatively healthy, they're still not blowing absolute minds away. Nevertheless, Inflection are still ploughing ahead with updates and content. They've got a Halloween content update coming where you can get some obviously decorative items and stuff like that, but it's all going on a PTR. So the big thing for this also is you can test out their new changes to building. You'll no longer need proper structural support. So it's one of the things that has limited some people in building. I've seen some great builds in Nightingale, to be fair, especially from friends of mine, but nevertheless, it's still something that the devs have felt has maybe inhibited players. So you'll no longer get red. You can go ahead and build something on foundations and then take away the foundations and the structure will still remain floating. So you can make some crazy magical builds now. This is all available on the PTR. It doesn't look like it's going to be up for weeks and weeks and weeks. They do want to get it out before Halloween, but just the final testing phase, and it's the first time they're using the public test realms, as they're calling them, to really get involved. They also speak a little bit about Nightingale City with this as well, and how they're going to be adding it in the future, maybe sooner than people think. A huge Victorian city to go and explore maybe. I hope they're not overhyping it, because it ends up being just maybe a distinct set of buildings you can't really walk into and do anything with other than find 3 or 4 NPCs. It could be a bit of a letdown. As pretty and nice as I'm sure it will be, people's expectations are probably going to be pretty big about what Nightingale City has to offer. I'm not expecting full-blown fighting or maybe a realm where you will go into danger. It is going to be, I'm sure, an NPC hub. That's the whole point, that Nightingale is a safe place. But I wouldn't be too surprised if it becomes the next hub where we go and travel to new biomes rather than the watch itself. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if the watch either gets really canonized or just left as a side option to go and do some of the vaults. Obviously, if you've played Nightingale, you'll know that you can go and travel to realms in the story side of things, at least, from a special crossways, which has got all these stone portals that will open up to story realms, handcrafted worlds. You can still spin up procedurally generated ones, but this has been a pretty main focus of the latest update. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if now we've completed all of these portals and they do open up to story realms, then obviously we're going to need another maybe hub to go and explore anything new. I really want Nightingale to succeed. I think it's got a great idea. They're obviously passionate about what they're doing, but the numbers have dropped down and it is already heading down to the low 1,000 mark in terms of players. Player count shouldn't mean everything absolutely, But the bottom line, this game didn't sell millions of copies when it launched, so if it doesn't start picking up and really hitting it home and maybe rising with their player base, then how many copies are being sold to carry on funding the game? If it can remain steady at 1,000 to 2,000 players, that would actually be pretty good. So many games have dropped off. We've seen even the biggest hits like Powerworld and Enshrouded have struggled to actually keep players playing for prolonged periods unless there is big exciting updates. And blatantly, the more people play Nightingale, the more it encourages me to do videos. You might have noticed that I did kind of drop off. I had big plans for doing more content and I still do. But ultimately, if people aren't watching, then it doesn't really have my time. I'm praying and hoping they add a creative mode in soon. Obviously, you guys know most of my guides and stuff are based on showing you stuff early and quick, and having creative modes to go in and just show stuff off, especially when it's so hard to get a lot of the resources in this game to show off creative builds and different types of weapons and different styles of combat and gear that you could really use. That's probably the one thing holding me back, and I'm sure probably a lot of other creators. Now, who cares about creators? Obviously, other players just maybe want it just to get their creative juices flowing and build some fantastic cities and settlements. They raised the building limit in their last update, which really helped a lot as well. But yeah, that's what I'm really looking forward to from Nightingale. That's what's going to get me back playing in a big way. I spent like 4 or 5 days doing a guide literally on all the different types of armor that you could craft, having to gather hundreds of resources to go ahead and compare and combine. And then about 2 weeks later, they went and changed a bunch of stuff, making that video almost useless straight away. That's why I've also been a bit more reluctant to make more dedicated guides on Nightingale. It happens, it's early access, it's not a slight on the devs, but some of this stuff does feel like it has been changed quite radically compared to a lot of other games that maybe don't change as much. Also a bit concerning that the community manager for Reflection has been told that they're basically being let go. It does make it sound like there is a round of kind of layoffs at the studio, which is kind of troubling. Like, who's going to take care of stuff like that? Who's going to be helping with inquiries? Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about Nightingale at the moment. Even with all the good stuff being promised, they do have Tencent backing them as a publisher, and their review scores are actually really good at the moment. 78% is the highest I think it's ever been, and hopefully start moving the dial a little bit more and getting all reviews up from 65%. But yeah, a little explanation about me and covering Nightingale. I'm probably not going to dip into the PTR at the moment. If you do, then as always, you right click on Nightingale, go to properties, go to betas, and you should find the Public Realms build there. As always with these things, you ever played them on Conan Exiles and stuff like that, or Rust, progress can't carry over, you can't take the same character over, so it will have to be a new one. Even more reason why creative mode really needs to be enabled soon. If you want feedback and testing about stuff, it's important that you get players actually being able to experience stuff pretty quickly, especially on PTR servers where there's no carryover. You won't also be able to play the old version of Nightingale while you've got the PTR up. It's one or the other, so you will have to pretty much just opt out just like you did in actually opting in. And there you go, you get the idea. And there we go, just a bit more casual from me. Got my camera on, I'm not really trying to make it all quickly and condensed down into a space of 20 seconds. The regular survival shows will be returning this week, don't worry. But at least once a week I want you guys to see my face and hear a bit more deeper thoughts about me, about some of the stuff that's happening in the world of survival. If you like this format, if you want me to go even further, really give my opinions about certain games and updates, then let me know and we can maybe include it. And we've still got so much to come during the rest of this October. Zero Threat is happening very soon, as you saw, October 23rd, alongside Wild Planet, another little mini survival game. Both of these are launching either in 1.0 or for the first time in Steam. And there's a bunch of other stuff I've still got in the works about what I'm covering and doing. Ourbound still coming out on 24th as well, and again I found that pretty interesting. I might give that another go now it's got its actual early access release rather than just the demo. And there's a few other games I'll be covering on my JPG Crafted channel. But for now I will be carrying on definitely with my Survival Fountain of Youth Let's Play series, something a bit different from me. I'm trying to do more Let's Plays, even if they don't get many views, I'm enjoying it. I want to start making sure I've got the frequency right and also introducing more games. I've been debating about starting a fresh run of Valheim. Let's face it, I'm probably one of the worst Valheim players going, as I often have to dip in and out, and the updates are pretty slow, which means I'm always definitely a bit rusty. But with the new skills they've added in their latest update last week, which were pretty fire, I could maybe do a Let's Play series where I try and max out my skills completely, or at least one by one, without doing lots of cheese. That's something I've been floating around. So if you want to see something like that, let me know in the comment section. Are there any other survival games that you think I should be covering? I see Sunken Land's got a new update that looks to refine and make the world a little bit nicer. That's a game I didn't give too much time to when it released. And of course we've got Enshrouded, which is probably something I'm going to try out this week as well. Their updates come in, and again I'm well behind in terms of content for that. There's so much I just not managed to get through because it just hasn't always gelled with me. But maybe I need to do it a bit more. So until next time, probably a Sunday, maybe a Monday, the survival review. I'll see you later.